Okay, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to start doing a bit of an off-season series. I don't know how many parts there's going to be to it, but this is obviously part one. Just talking about what we get up to with the old car and the new car and what our reasonings behind it, different parts that we're putting on, some parts that we're taking off of this thing. Currently, the frame itself is a GF1, which we ran last year. I've got another one. We bought two second-hand ones last year and picked the best one out of the lot. They're both the same size as this one. The difference being just the one we're going to run a standard rail as opposed to a 1-inch raised rail like this one. The 1-inch raised rails are generally used for the wing cars, hence why a lot of people have got them, just so that when the car is getting in or winging in, it's not going to bottom out on the rail. Well, we don't have that problem. And I've always wanted a standard rail car because when you're sitting them on the stands, they all look a bit wonky as it is. So anyway, it's of no other benefit than that, really. The car or the frame itself needed the gravel bars and head protection bars put in. So Quinny's been doing that for us. He also put it on the jig, straightened it out a little bit, and put some tags in because we're running some different panels and bodywork than what we ran last year. So essentially, I kind of want to keep this car as not a complete car because, like I said, we're going to be taking some stuff off of it. But, it's going to be a backup car that in case we jump this other one, we'll be able to, not miss a week of racing because we can revert back to this car. And we've got some good setup now on this car, and it was actually pretty good at its last meeting until that bloody steering wheel come off. But anyway, we've got that frame down at the powder coaters. It's been baked in the oven. So what they do is they put it in the oven that they actually cure it in, I suppose, but they get all the paint off and then send it to the sandblasters. Gets back to Ian there at Steve Wicks, and he'll just have a quick look at the welds and stuff for us quickly and then make sure that's okay, and then bang. We're going to go for a black again because that seems to match any paint scheme that you go for. Speaking of paint schemes, I still have a chat to Adam at Speed Parlour about that, but, I'll let him decide on what we do and stuff like that. That's his thing. I mean, if it was me, the car would probably just be white. I don't really care. But he does do a good job of making them look good. And we got a lot of comments last year and the year before that about it. So, but we'll wait and see. So without further ado, I'll just show you through the car. I'll go from the front to the back, and then just the different pieces that we're either fixing, replacing, repairing, or just going to leave on the car, essentially. Okay, so the front of the car, we're probably just going to leave the beam, the arms in there, depending on how our budget goes, as to how much of this stuff will come off of this car and go on the other. But the intent is to basically leave it as you see it now. Little panels like the radiator air dam is just, they get chewed up. Same with the tray that the radiator sits in. So that's all going to stay there. We're waiting on a bit of a shipment from Maxwell's to come in from BR's. So that'll be in there. I've got a new shroud for the new car. As we move on, obviously that's where our engine goes. And for people that don't know, our engine bolts up to this engine plate with the drive shaft running direct through there. So essentially where that red bit is where the uni joint is. And I'll get to the drivetrain in a sec. The wiring loom, again, I'd like to leave this on the car, basically as you see it now. But depending on the budget, these things are around $1,000. I've gone through this one. It's actually in pretty good nick. The problems that we had before with like the switch and some of the pins and some of the connectors, that was nothing really to do with the loom itself. The steering wheel, obviously, we're replacing the steering wheel boss in there. The seats are coming with because they're about $4,000 at the moment, so we're not obviously getting another one, and we don't need to, it'd be stupid. The belts on these run out, so I think the belts last for about 2 years. There's always a date on them and you have to replace them. So these ones run out in December, so we're going to obviously be replacing them. As I was mentioning before, the drivetrain, so in here we've got the torque tube, which is what our drive shaft spins around in, from the engine back to the diff, which is here. We're running a different diff this year. It's the same ratio, but it's actually a smaller diff, so it weighs less. It's shorter in the length of it as well. So I'm going to have to run a new torque tube and even drive shaft as well. So essentially, again, this will all be staying with this car. The tail tank is 25 gallon, perfect condition. Again, they're not cheap, so that's going to be coming over to the other car. So whether the number font and all that stays the same, again, we'll wait to see what Adam says about that at Speed Parlour. But again, that's up to him. I reckon that's pretty much it. Over here, we got the new panel kit, which has already been fitted to the new car. We've taken Todd's stickers off of it. It was a Todd Wigsell car. So we've got the dash, the side panels, the bonnet, the kick panels, everything like that. So that's now going to go off to Obes Customs and Classics. So I'm going to try and run that down to him, in the next couple of weeks. Just showing you here what else we got. We got that's the drive shaft out of the car. It's alley. Just tape it up to protect the splines, but that's only done a season. Actually, no, we're going to have to replace that because it's going to be too short. These are the pistons out of the engine rebuild that we had done. And speaking of that, everything was fine. I thought that I might have damaged some of the bottom end because we had a lot of fuel pass into the oil and I just ran it pretty hard. The oil pressure did drop during the race, but I knew it was the end of the season. It was the end of the feature. I didn't really care, and I knew it was going in for a full rebuild. Anyway, Jack has found nothing wrong with it. A little bit of wear on some of the mains and stuff like that, but it's had a full rebuild since. So we should be good to go. So there you have it. Episode 1 of our off-season. If you've come this far, I really would appreciate if you subscribe and give it a like and even drop a comment down below. It just all helps with everything, as we all know, and we all get it drilled into us. Also, just on a quick note as well, we got an interesting email this week in that regard to the Napa Speedway at the 500 in Adelaide later in the year. So we're not a shoe-in, the class isn't. Daryl's obviously been trying to do a lot of work behind the scenes, but it was basically an email of expression of interest if we do get the call-up. And so obviously that's something that we would love to do. This time last year, we had all intentions to race here and race there and do all of that sort of stuff. And unfortunately, it just didn't happen. So this year, we're just going to do as much as we can. I'd love to do some of the travelling series rounds, the state titles. Love to go out to Darwin, but that's probably not going to happen. So we're just going to play it by ear and just race as much as we can. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.